Welcome to the Adventures of Adam. I'm Adam. Let's adventure. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the latest social media trailer that was just posted, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in there that leads to a lot of interesting questions and hopefully a lot of interesting answers. Let's get into it. This is cool. It's like a in-game cutscene that I'm assuming we'll play. But this right here is sick. Okay, so we know that for Godforge, they're going to have these like parallax 2D animations that are sort of 3D animated to kind of create the illusion of that they're alive. What looks to be happening here, if we look at Brynhild, Guan Yu, and Lady Jacques, they all look like 3D models. So now look at the background. It looks like a 2D image that's being shattered, and we see Ra coming through. Now, this is significant because it sort of backs up what we see in the cinematic trailer. In the cinematic trailer, at the very beginning, we see like a big blast, and then like kind of light emitting, and then we see Ra there. And at one point, the narrative director, Aaron, had stated that that was Ra coming through a rift. And we can see that same thing being emulated here in the parallax animation. And it's a 2D background that he's coming through, but he's a 3D image himself. And now it's a group of 3D characters facing off against each other, breaking through the two-dimensional parallax animation. That is just really cool. That's such a cool way to do that. So this is the Godforge. Remember what this looks like. We're going to circle back to this. Fafnir looking badass. Aphrodite looking cute. Okay. This is the main thing that I wanted to talk about in this trailer. So we see an image of a mystery woman. We don't know exactly who this is. Or do we? I've been doing a little bit of sleuthing. I'll come back to that slide. I've been doing a bit of sleuthing, and I believe that this is the Morrigan. And I further believe that the Morrigan very well could be the crow that we see in the cinematic. I'll circle back to that again later. One thing at a time. So let's talk about the Morrigan here. So this was a screenshot taken from a video posted to Hell Hades channel, Simon's channel, Hell Hades. So I took the screenshot and compared it side by side. And originally I had to flip it, and then I adjusted some of the color tones to make it look more orangey like this one. And it's the same character. I mean, look. So in this one, we have the tip of the spear. It kind of has like this feathery aesthetic to it. And then there's a split kind of down the middle. We can say that same motif here. There's like these lines that go up and then the split down the middle. We continue down. There's like this battle axe type shape with sort of two semicircles on the side. Again, we have the same battle axe type shape with the semicircles on the side. If you look over here, we can see feathers coming off her shoulders. We see the same motif in this character here. It's feathers coming off the waistband. Again, feathers coming off the waistband. We have the feathered cloak aesthetic, which we can see mimicked in this art here. We even can see that this character here has very pointed, sharp, claw-like, talon-like fingernails. And we can see that same aesthetic in this character over here. Again, the bracers going up and stopping at the elbow. And in my opinion, the most damning evidence is this crow skull atop the head of this crown that she's wearing. I mean, this is the same character. The difference is one was modeled in 3D and the other one was drawn by an artist. Also, if you look at the aesthetic of this corset here, it's like laced in gold in the front, and we can see that same aesthetic here. So these characters are the Morrigan. Now, why is that significant? Well, we have heard from the narrative director himself that the Morrigan does play a big role in the Godforge storyline. But how big a role? See, that's where Crazy Charlie comes in here. I believe. Now, if you don't know the lore of the Morrigan, she's from the Avalonian mythology, sort of the King Arthur realm of mythos, and she has the ability to turn into a crow. And she's also the goddess of fate and the harbinger of war. Now, the reason those are important is because from this screenshot that was taken about 8 months ago now, and you can tell that was taken a while back because of how short my beard is there. So this is old. This is a video of mine from about 7 months ago, and the video was probably older. I was doing some theory crafting back then about who the starter heroes were, and I was right, by the way. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we see Fate is the one talking to us, and we know that Fate or Destiny is one of the 3 primal powers, and we also happen to know that Fate or Destiny was the one who gave birth to the Scion. Now, why is that important? So for this, let's go back to the trailer here. So we see the Morrigan here. Now watch what happens as we hit play. Pay close attention. So we see the Godforge being formed in the background, sort of being built. So the Morrigan was there for the construction of the Godforge. Then we see energy come off the Godforge and sort of go off into the distance to do something. But watch. You see the energy channeling, it's going, and it's like a lightning strike. Boom. And then we see this figure. Now, who is this figure? I believe this figure is the Scion. Now, we've seen the Scion depicted once before in this image here. Now, it is true that these images are different, but this image is from like 6 months ago, maybe more. I don't know exactly when the video that this appeared in aired, but I did a video breaking this down about 5 or 6 months ago. So this image is at least 6 months old. So they very well could have changed the aesthetic and gone back to the drawing board. Again, it's not perfectly identical, but if the Morrigan was there for the birth of the Scion, which is us, the players, by the way, in case you didn't know, I believe this is the Scion, and I believe the Morrigan was there. Now, why is that important? I think the Morrigan, being the goddess of fate, was working as an agent for the primal power of fate. And I believe it was the Morrigan in the form of a crow who led Gilgamesh into the Aetherwell room to destroy the Aetherwell, which in turn caused the shattering, which basically destroyed the universe and then kind of pulled back together again. Fate was the one, the primal power, who pulled the universe back together and basically saved it from being cast into oblivion. So yeah, it seems pretty compelling. Again, I put this image of the Godforge here. That's what's behind the Morrigan there, is the Godforge. And then, boom, we see a mysterious figure. And I believe the reason it is mysterious is because it's meant to be us. And it's easier to roleplay as a character when you can't, like, if they were to show its face, it would potentially break the character, the player immersion, if we don't look like the character, right? It's for character immersion purposes. I think it's intended to be mysterious, which is why we don't see the Scion's face in this image here. It's just a dude wearing a cloak. Yeah, that's it. I don't want to say I nailed it 100%, but I think it's pretty likely that this mysterious crow that we see in the cinematic trailer is the Morrigan, and the Morrigan is working in tandem with the primal power fate. But let's go back to this trailer, because there's still some more cool stuff in here. And just in case you haven't seen it, real quick, I watched Unbound Sage's video on this, and he was analyzing it very in depth, and he was speaking about how he believes that because there's a 2 here, it will cost 2 books to level up each of these skills. I don't think that's true. In my opinion, it's more likely a UI bug, and it's showing that we have 2 million books available to use to rank this up, and just the M isn't showing. I think that's way more likely than the fact that it would cost 2 books per skill up. If it is 2 books per skill up, that's just going to piss a lot of people off. Even if it is easy to acquire, just the optics of that would not be good, and it would annoy people. I don't think Fateless would make it this way. I think more likely it's just a UI bug, and the M for 2 million is not appearing down here, because why would they need to code it so it shows 2 million? Because who the hell is actually ever going to have 2 million books aside from the developers who are making the game? To me, this is way more plausible. But we also saw some improvements to what Ascension does. Maybe it's the next screen. Also, Sage was talking about this screen here, saying he thinks it appears as though the amount of resources necessary to rank up or promote your heroes has been lessened. I mean, we see 3-star units here to rank up to 4-star, and there's only 2 slots, and there's room for like 3 more. To me, what that looks like is it took 3 slots to rank from 3-star to 4. I don't know. To rank 2 4-star, you would have 1 level 30 hero and then 3 spirits here. I don't think they reduced the amount necessary. That's my opinion, though. I disagree with Sage on that point. But this is cool, too. They totally changed the way that Hero Ascension works. I can already see the Reddit threads on the Godforge subreddit, people being confused as to why, like, they'll put an imprint on a weapon, equip the weapon to the hero, and then they're not getting the effect because their hero isn't 4-star ascended. I'm already seeing dozens of, at least one a day, every day, for the next 20 years, people complaining that there's a bug in the game because their imprint isn't working on their hero, when in fact they just need to get to 4-star ascension. It's gonna happen. I promise you it will happen. I'm not saying that they should change it, but I am saying people will get confused, and people will post on Reddit about it or file bug reports. Just be aware, Fateless, that you've opened that door for yourself. Also, this new Ascension screen looks really sick. Like with the semicircle here and the affinity, and this looks really cool. And this, like, all of it looks 100 times better than it did in the alpha. Not that it looked bad in the alpha, but it looks very good. It looks way more polished. And we've already seen the awakening screen, but this is cool. Yeah, so that's it. That is the latest social media trailer that was released. Those are my thoughts and reaction to what we saw in it, along with some other spicy little juicy fan theory. So let me know what you think. Do you think I'm onto something with this Morgan thing? Or am I just crazy Charlie connecting dots that aren't there? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I will see you all in another video soon. But until next time, everyone, take care.